Why are Kirsten and I such terrible luck for Macklin Celebrini? And what grade are we going to give Bill Guerin this time in his tenure with the Minnesota Wild organization? All that plus much more as we get closer and closer to Wild training camp opening up here in September. As always, we're created by New Voice Studios, brought to you by SotaStick, presented by Talk North, Royal Credit Union, Livia, Jim Beam, and Grain Belt. This is Season 5, Episode 239.
At Jim Beam, they know the importance of tradition, like chanting, "Let's play hockey" prior to the start of each game, or playing the state of hockey anthem after a Wild win. This season, raise one to your fan family with a bourbon that invites us all to come as friends and leave as family. Jim Beam Bourbon Whiskey, the official bourbon whiskey partner of the Minnesota Wild and XL Energy Center. Drink smart. Jim Beam Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. 40% alcohol by volume. Copyright 2021. James B. Beam Distilling Company, Incorporated, Claremont, Kentucky.
Hello, everybody. What's up? Bardown Beauties. Some episode. I actually don't even know what the episode number is this week. I just realized 239. We'll go with that. Maybe.
I don't know what it is either, but also I just kind of wake up and show up.
That's what we do each and every week. I'm Jessi Pierce, writer for NHL.com. She's Kirsten Krull, entertainment correspondent, as well as in-arena host for your Minnesota Wild. And kind of we do a lot of different things in the offseason, Kirsten, namely find our way out to golf courses. We've got two big events that we get to not only recap and then preview, starting with the Hobie Baker Memorial Golf Tournament last week at the Royal in Lake Elmo. Macklin Celebrini, the 2024 Hobie Baker Award winner, was present. Shockingly, though, not a golfer. I just felt like all elite athletes are elite athletes, right? And he admitted right away that he wasn't very good golf. He also called us terrible luck, literally, and I quote, terrible luck, because he said his two tee-offs in front of us were horrible, which I can vouch for that. They weren't great. The one, I could have outdrove him. And the first one, he did what Krull Kaprizov did last year and shanked it hard right. So interesting enough, but tell us about the Hobie Baker celebration and our chats with Macklin.
I mean, not everybody can say that Macklin Celebrini, the first overall draft pick, called them bad luck. So I'm
Again,
gonna
terrible
take
luck. It wasn't even just bad. He said we were terrible. Luck.
That's true. But honestly, like, what can you do? But also, as entertainment correspondent, I did my due diligence. I found out Macklin, his favorite artist is Luke Combs, but yet he has never been to a concert before. So this is the kind of information I think the people want, and I will continue to deliver as the season gets ready to get underway. We're just getting started here. But the Hobie Baker event, it was a lot of fun. You see a lot of really cool people, get to meet a lot of cool people. Always a good time getting to go out there.
I mean, it just reminds us how young he is, that he's never been to. Like my first concert, I went to Christina Aguilera and Justin Timberlake when it was the first day of school because I brought my homework because I am a nerd through and through. I know I seem like I'm cool, but I was never cool. But I was probably 9th grade. And then I didn't go to like another concert until I was a senior in high school.
I was going to concerts in like middle school. And then I remember in high school, I drove from Rochester to the XL Energy Center on a school night. It was like a Tuesday, Wednesday night. Drove up to go see Luke Bryan, got home 2 a.m. I think I was 15.
Yeah, like I did. That was the Christina one. I went to Alabama with my mom and my aunts when I was a young child. That was so well up in Duluth. And we were in the elevator with the lead singer. And my aunt, God bless her, she was like, you know what? We drove all the way up from the Twin Cities to see you. And he looked at her and he goes, we came all the way from Alabama to play for you. And I'll never forget that.
That is something.
It's something. The other thing I loved about chatting with Macklin, great kid. You can tell he comes from a really good family. Unfortunately, his parents weren't able to come in with him. I'm sure he's been traversing the country doing all these different things, but I had asked him what keeps him kind of humbled, as you'd mentioned, Kirsten. First overall pick, a lot of pressure on him heading into San Jose as they're hoping for him to kind of be the Connor Bedard, not hoping, or, he is going to be the Connor Bedard there. But I said, what do your parents do to make sure you stay grounded? And he's like, I don't know. Still have to do the dishes all the time. I was like, oh, that's so endearing. You
It
know what? Keep those
is.
kids doing their chores.
Uh, I just had a
Just love
brain
it.
moment for a sec. I'm so sorry. I haven't had
It's
coffee yet
okay.
today.
I
But
noticed that it
Macklin,
was,
very great kid.
yeah, no, good kid. Aside, I want to give a shout out to producer Fred. Last week was his last week with us. Unfortunately, he is moving on to greener pastures. Not dying. I don't know if that's the correct word. He's not moving. He's just he doesn't want to be part of the Buttes anymore, which we respect and love. This whole thing would not be without him. So speaking of great people, shout out to producer Fred. He'll always have a special place in the Bardown Beauties hearts and organization. So thank you to him. And on our second aside, Waggle 24-hour hole-in-one challenge happening this Thursday starting at noon, ending this Friday at noon out at Loggers Trail. I had no part in that, by the way. They had already established it would be at Loggers pre me, but Kirsten and I are going to be out there doing a little podcasting, maybe get some guests swinging through, if not just entertaining you fine folk that want to go try your luck at a hole-in-one challenge at Loggers Trail. All proceeds going to Special Olympics Minnesota, so it should be a really fun event.
I'm really excited. I have not been a part of the Waggle Golf event before, so excited to be out there podcasting, getting to meet people, and just being out and about with some really cool people at that. Don't let that
You
go
know,
to your head, Jessi.
it's me. I'm cool. No, I already said I'm not cool. We've already established the uncoolness that is Jessi Pierce. I'm okay with it. Big old nerd. We're fine with it. Do you think you could get a hole in one? Are you going to get a
Absolutely
hole in one?
not. No.
I feel, the more that I've worked out at the golf course, the more you see people, the amount of people that have never played golf that get hole in ones before people that are like lifetime golfers is astounding. It's like a 60-40 ratio, right? Which proves that hole in ones are just luck. Like I was watching a video maybe a week ago where it was back in the day, Alex Ovechkin, his first time on the golf course, he got a hole in one. It's not really skill, it's a lot of luck.
Yes, I agree with that. I still just don't even think I'm lucky. I do not have skill. I do
Terrible
not have
luck.
luck. So both things are working against me.
Which Wild player do you think would be the first to get a hole in one? Now we know Matt Boldy, Ryan Hartman are the big golfers on the team. Brock Faber said he's kind of meh. I've seen Krull, I've seen Marcus. None of the Swedes are good either. Sorry, Jonas and Jewel aren't very good.
I was just about to say Jonas would be my pick as somebody who'd get a hole in one. So
I kind of want to see Felino do it.
he
I
wouldn't.
just think the
Because he's
Selly would
good
be
at
great.
everything. He doesn't get to get a hole in one.
I think it would be a great Selly.
Yeah, it'd be fantastic, but I don't see it happening for him.
No. I mean, Kirill would be great too, because as I'd mentioned earlier on in the podcast, when I watched him golf last year, he shanked it hard, right. I have it on video. Go back to my Twitter, you'll find it. I'll input that in there since I'm now your producer, Jessi, as well. It's he shanks it hard. It's pretty hilarious, and it's like golfers, they're just like you and me. Or I mean, hockey players, they're just like you and me on the
They're
golf
just like
course.
you and me, but somehow I still think I'm worse. So
This is probably true. No,
yeah.
I'm excited. I love what Waggle's doing. Obviously great merch in general, but I think to support Minnesota Special Olympics is always a good time. Taylor Heisey could probably get a hole in one.
Yeah, I could see that. I could
Yeah.
definitely see that.
Or Kelly Panic. Some of the P-Dub girls.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do you think Sidney Crosby's a good golfer?
Yes, because he's focused
He's so focused. Like he's got the mental
all the
aspect of that game,
time.
right?
Yes,
Like
he's
it's
got the
funny.
mental aspect to a T.
This is
No
how I
pun
would
intended. I keep doing that.
Crosby is the Tiger Woods, right? And not just because they're the best at their respective sport, but he's like the very focused, very like, this is what we're doing. Or maybe if we want to bring, he's like the Scotty Scheffler or the Rory, maybe the Rory McIlroy. I think Alex Ovechkin on the flip side is the John Daly, right? Just like, I'm
Okay.
gonna, you don't know who John Daly is, do you? Do you
No,
know John Daly?
yes, I do.
Yes. The partier, the fun one. I mean, me and John Daly. That's what I'm there for.
Two peas in a pod.
Two
Speaking of
peas.
Scotty Scheffler, I just want to key in on that a little bit more. There was a graphic that has gone viral of Mr. Scheffler, and it talks about how his year has gone. Won Masters, had his first child, won gold medal, jail,
Second in this, and then jail. Just toss in
just
jail right
throw in
before it.
jail. Like, what a year for that guy.
I mean, we've all had those types of years, haven't we?
Yeah, I mean, you gotta have a little bad with all of the good. It keeps you, that's what keeps you humble.
That is true.
So,
That's
I
what
mean, maybe I
keeps.
don't advise everybody to go to jail. Like, especially Macklin, especially at 18 years old. I can't be like, Macklin, to keep you humble, you need to mix
Part
in
of your life
jail
story,
with all of
though,
your
right?
accomplishments. Oh, it makes a great story.
I mean, it's just part of, yeah, your story. We all have those things that happen to us that form us, turn us into the correct
Defining years builds character.
character moments. It builds character. Exactly. I know we didn't talk about it. We're not going to harp on it because it's already happened. It's in the past. Brock Faber. Just one more round of applause for Brock Faber getting signed, extended. We love it. Humble as can be. I know you guys saw us talk about it a little bit on Twitter last week and on our social channels. Obviously, he is so grateful. I love that Brock was wearing a Special Olympics t-shirt on his signing day too.
1000%. A good guy, strong supporter. My favorite thing too is Bill Guerin's quote. He said, "You're getting this contract for the player and person you are." So I loved that. And it couldn't be more true.
I want to talk about Bill Guerin a little bit. Obviously, in Billy G, we trust. Having seen what he's done, I think now is a time for a good, fair assessment, right? Because he had salary cap, he did the buyouts, he's done a lot. Where is your trust level at with Billy G at this moment, a couple years into his tenure with the Wild organization? I mean, are you still feeling pretty good with him in the driver's seat and the things that he's done? I know last year we were probably harsher on him than we've been in previous seasons, right? Because of some of those contracts that he locked in, some of those no moves and no trades. Where do you feel you're gauging Bill's job thus far and your confidence in him for the next couple of years?
I mean, that's really the only thing that has made me really raise eyebrows. There's been two things, and we saw it last year. The signing of old grinder players, that's been questionable just because the league is younger, it's faster. So why aren't we keeping up with the direction the league is going? Also, obviously, all of the no moves. You get locked in, your back's already against the wall. Now you're just pinning yourself to the wall with all of those contracts. So those are the only two things that have really made me question him, but
Mhm.
also I still have faith in him and the direction he's wanting to move this club. It's just hard until we actually get out of the buyout situation to really see what his plans are.
Which again was a very defining moment of his role as general manager, right? Like he made that. There were no qualms about it. He stuck by it, and I stick by it too. I think it was still the right decision at the time and continues to be no matter how hard it is. I'd give him like a solid maybe B, B minus. My biggest fear with Bill Guerin, again, love working with him, love interacting. I love that he doesn't, BS around things. He's going to do what he wants to do. My one concern would be like that good old boys club, right? Like he certainly likes his guys and he likes the players that were like him, which can get you in a little bit of trouble, I think sometimes. Like you're blinded a little bit to certain things. Now, again, I don't think it's fair to assess necessarily a full-on grade because these buyouts have hand strapped him, but they're the buyouts that he chose, right? That's the path that he chose. And he's done some pretty incredible things. Like getting Marc-Andre Fleury here is
Mhm.
awesome. And getting Brock Faber locked in, getting Matt Boldy locked in, obviously Kirill Kaprizov, the next big contract that needs to get handled. And I think those conversations have already probably begun because you need to show Kirill what's what. But I think, yeah, my one concern is he likes the type of guys that he likes, but is that going to hold the Wild back? Because Bill Guerin played hockey in a very different National Hockey League, right? Like it was a very different player back then. And I think he recognizes that and acknowledges that, but it still concerns me that maybe he looks too much for the players that were like himself versus these, elite status. And again, he needs to do a better job, I think, and that's with the team that he comprises of getting players to want to come to Minnesota. I don't think players want to come to Minnesota. Like I know Patrick Laine's name continues to be tossed around. Would Columbus trade him? There's the whole salary cap issue with that. There is the whole, is Patrick Laine good enough? But also I think, would he want to come here? You look at Phil Kessel didn't want to come here. You've got plenty of players that were like, probably nah. And not to say that they're thinking Minnesota is bad necessarily. They just don't think much of it at all.
Yeah, and I think that's a fair assessment as well. I think Minnesota too, it's kind of one of those quieter markets. I mean, and what I mean by that is you don't have the harsh media criticism and like the diehard fans in the sense of like you look at Montreal and how hard you hear from other people, players, how hard it is to play for that organization. Just when I say that, I'm meaning like a lot of the Canadian teams, like Minnesota's very passionate, and that's not what I'm trying to say here.
I was
But
gonna say you're gonna get the fans all hyped
no,
up.
and that's not at all what I'm trying to say, because Minnesota, it's people have said it's as close to a Canadian market as you can get, but just all of like the media and attention surrounding certain markets is kind of more so where I'm going with that.
There's more of a vitriol in the market is what is, like from Toronto. And I think sometimes us media members, myself included, we're a little soft, right? We're not going to be super harsh. I think sometimes we press. Mike Russo in particular does a nice job at obviously getting, into the weeds with the guys sometimes and holding them accountable. But it's just mild. Like I know that's always the ongoing joke that it's the Minnesota mild. It does feel mild. And I think fans, I'm going to say it, your obsession with certain players that are in the organization make no sense to me. Like Brandon Duhaime and Connor Dewar, they're fine. I have zero problem with them leaving. And but we love them, the Deweys, we need them here. Or I'm trying to think. There's a number of players. Mason Shaw. I'm not gonna miss Mason Shaw. The storyline is great and he's a good person, but we need to stop these attachments to these players that do nothing to better the organization, frankly, right? Like, and then that's the thing, like you have Marion Gabricks that leave and we're like, oh, good, he didn't want to be here anyway. It's like, well, but his skill was very good when he wasn't hurt. We need to stop this. All right. This is my call to action to all of you fans. We need to stop attaching ourselves to the very mediocre player.
I'm just laughing. That's really funny. That's really good.
It's
not
true,
wrong.
right?
It's not wrong. But Minnesotans, that goes along with like a super big positive of the market that we are currently in.
Yes.
That could be a drawing point to get other players to come here. Minnesotans, they love their people. Like people love Matt Dumba. There's certain players who have come through here, gone by, that Minnesotans love. So as long as you are here, you are trying, you are showing up, you want to be here, Minnesotans will adore you forever.
Forever.
I'm not joking. Am I wrong?
I mean, Charlie Coyle, hearts, right?
Everyone still have you ever heard anyone say anything bad about Charlie Coyle since he left? Jason Zucker, have you heard anybody say anything bad about Jason Zucker since he left? Exactly.
And those guys, I have a little bit more skill than some. I think it's so funny. It cracks me up. Like, again, similar to us media members, we need to hold the team more accountable to winning, right? Fans, let's do the same. Let's do it. Let's really do it together, united, push to the Minnesota Wild to greater successes. That's all I ask. Just change our minds a little bit. Let's not fall in love so easily. All right.
Some of the adorations confuse me as well.
Right? Like I feel like I've noticed it more, particularly the past 2 years. And maybe that's because the Wild have been kind of stagnant, right? Like, yes, get all in on the Kaprizov, get all in on Boldy, get all in on Faber. I 100%.
It's really the Connor Dewar for me. That's what I don't get, because that man also just is so quiet. Like, what do you know about him? He's so quiet.
Cuts his hair oddly sometimes. We don't, it's just, it's very bizarre. Yeah, like let's get all in on the good players and let's want the good players. And I get having connections or whatever. And I want the players to like being in Minnesota. Somebody had asked me that last week. Like, do you think Krull actually likes Minnesota? Like, I don't care if he does or not. He's playing for this team. Like, he's better. It's not our job to make them like the state, because I hate that. And I don't care if he doesn't. Frankly, I really don't, because he still has a job to perform, right? It's like we can all hate our jobs. Like, we can not love working for our boss, or we maybe don't love the company. We're going to show up to work every day, right? We're still going to do it. We're going to get our money paid. Maybe that's a stretch of a correlation, because it's not professional hockey. I don't need Kirill to love it here.
I have a hot take and no one's going to like it, but I'm going to say it anyways. Okay. Yeah, I know. You're like, say more. I see Kirill leaving to go to like a New York Rangers.
100%.
1,000%. He is, and I know a lot of people, I think it was this past season, correct me if I'm wrong, this past season, he was quoted saying he loves the big cities. He loves when he's on road trips and gets to play. And I think he mentioned like Madison Square Garden. And I
Mhm.
don't know. I just honestly, that's kind of what I see for him. I think he wants that kind of superstar, not only just like the superstar image isn't the right word, but he's already got the skill set down. I think he kind of wants to go to like that superstar stage.
I go back and forth with this a lot. And you know what? Let's dive into it. Let's go. Let's just go there, right? Um I because I don't think Kirill needs to be the guy, right? Like
Agreed.
I think he obviously embraces that role. He does that very well here. He's up for that task, no question. I don't think he would have a problem going to the Rangers and not being the number one superstar. Artemi Panarin wants to be the superstar, right? And I think Kirill would let him have that. And there's that Russian connection. We all know how the Russians love the Russians. Um, yeah, and there is something like about him that I see him in New York. I see that working so well. And again, because I think Kirill ultimately going to the point of him not wanting to be the guy or needing to be the guy rather, he just wants to win so badly as a team, right? Like he
Mhm.
wants, and it's easier to do that when you're surrounded by additional skill. So that's why I just think I see him in New York because New York has the pieces in place. They've got their really good goaltending. They've got great defensemen. They got the veteran presence. They've got the young players too. Um, I just I do. I agree with that. It would not surprise me because I think right now Kirill looks at the team as you and I do, Kirsten, as like, I don't know, maybe like they'll be
Mhm.
okay. Like they're going to be okay, but I don't see them reaching that pinnacle. And I don't see them doing that in the time that you need in order to get Kirill to believe and buy in, I guess
Well,
is
and
the big.
also we talk about markets and markets that are easier to play in and others that are harder to play in because of the scrutiny that you're under. Um, Minnesota, in a way, we talk about Kirill, how he truly is about that team aspect,
Mhm.
not so much individual. I think the individual also makes him a little uncomfortable. Like, for example, what
Yeah.
I mean when I say that is even when he was like singled out, like when he would score a goal and he'd be on the bench, camera zooms in on him and they would do like the Opa, like him saying Opa is like his celebration. He had asked for that to stop, not because he didn't like it, but he's like, I feel singled out. And he's like, it's the team. He's like, I just, he
Is that
wants
fact?
that is a fact. This is things you learn in game presentation when you work there. So I think
Fascinating.
the individualism, him being kind of brought into more of the spotlight, I truly feel like that probably makes him a little more uncomfortable. He doesn't embrace it as like you talk about other superstars in the league, how they really take it on. Again, I feel like it makes him uncomfortable. And especially in Minnesota, like he is that guy. He is
Mhm.
the superstar here. Give him the keys to the city. He's that guy. And at times I feel he's probably like, it would be nice if I'm trying to get into the mind of Kirill Kaprizov, it'd be nice to
Mhm.
not have to be that guy.
Well, and I think the other thing that where he would succeed in a market like your New York, like even to your Toronto or what have you, um, he is fine with the scrutiny. He's harder on himself than we would ever be, right? And I think that
Hmm.
would help him succeed. Like he doesn't need that protection, that cushion. And again, I'm not trying to say that we protect the players necessarily. I just think there are markets, as you mentioned, scrutiny is the perfect word. That's the word that we needed. There's just not as much scrutiny sometimes from the outside. And I think that would be okay with Kirill. I think he would welcome that almost, right? I think he wants
Hmm.
to make sure that he's doing the very best he can. So it's going to be interesting. It's a huge, this going back to our grades of Bill Guerin, huge um marker for him is what will happen with Kirill Kaprizov. And of course, I already have it teed up in my head. Oh, well, of course he's going to leave us because everything we love leaves us. Justin Jefferson is staying, so there's that
Yep.
Carl or Anthony Edwards. He wants to be here. So maybe Kirill is that trifecta. Maybe you do enough that he does want to be here. But if he doesn't, guys, I get it. I get it.
Mhm. All of this to be said, this whole conversation, because I can see the comments now. So I'm making something very clear. I want him to stay. I
Yes.
want him to continue to play here in Minnesota. I just wouldn't be shocked if he ended up on a team such as New York Rangers to throw out. I don't know why. I don't know if it's the jersey on behind you on the
Mm.
wall or what that's like making me be like Rangers, or if
Shout out
that's
Mark
just kind of
Messier.
like
Yeah.
something. I don't know, but I want him to stay. Let's make that very clear. I just wouldn't be surprised.
And you shouldn't be either. You guys shouldn't be if he doesn't stay. I don't know that I feel like fans are starting to understand and accept it a little bit, right? And it's okay. You can be sad. We don't need to put it in the air. We will manifest good things only, but it's just the reality of the situation. And a large part of that will rely on how good the team does this year. Liam Ogren, Marat Huznadinov, are they the guys? We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, let's talk about those two players as we inch closer and closer to training camp. Stay tuned. Hey guys, Jessi Pierce for Livia Weight Control Centers. And guess what? Your success story starts today. Join Livia's doctor-recommended and award-winning nutrition program and get your first 8 weeks absolutely free. That's right, 8 weeks for free. What's better than that? I'll tell you what's better. You could lose up to 20 pounds or more in those first 8 weeks. Plus, Livia offers weight loss medications to help accelerate your results. Receive personalized one-on-one guidance plus expert nutrition and medical support. Livia is the destination for all weight loss solutions. It works. I know I'm down nearly 40 pounds and have kept that weight off for the past year. I could not be more thrilled thanks to my Woodbury team and thanks to Livia for helping me get on the track to being healthier, fitter, and feeling good about myself. Join Livia today. Call 855-GO-LIVIA or visit livia.com. That's livea.com. Let them know Jessi Pierce and the Bardown Beauty sent you and get your 8 weeks absolutely free. All right, Kirsten, we're back. We are just a few short weeks, a little over a month from training camp, which opens up here in September. A couple players have stuck around. A couple players have come in and out. Liam Ogren, one of those such guys that was in town for development camp, stayed around for a lot of the summer. Marat Huznadinov, another one. Both players that we were able to catch glimpses of last year in a Wild uniform. Some of the signings, Kirsten, makes you wonder where Liam Ogren's spot on this roster might be to start the year. Are you going to be upset if Liam Ogren is not on the team out of training camp, or do you think that would be okay for him to go down to Iowa in season? I think he had 4 games here in Minnesota, 4 or 7. I can't forget. Apologies. I should look that up, but I won't do that right now. Is it a disappointment if he starts the year down in Iowa and doesn't make it out of camp, given all of the hype surrounding him? You know, and again, Liam Ogren, reminder, is part of that Fiala-Faber trade deal. That's the draft selection that they made. What are your thoughts there?
I'm split. Part of me, if he is in Iowa to start, that's just more experience. That's more experience. It's more, you talk about grinders. The AHL, it is more of like a grinders league to kind of get, it's grizzled. You really face some adversity down there. And then when you come up, you just seemed more seasoned on an NHL roster. So I think the experience would be good. So I wouldn't be mad. But with that, I would like to see him get called up to the Wild roster sooner than later if he were to start in Iowa. But also, I do think he's earned a spot on an NHL roster. So I would be a little disappointed to not see him on the opening night roster. I don't know. So I'm split.
So a couple weeks ago on NHL.com, I had to do my team reset for the Minnesota Wild, in which I gave #LineHeathens what they wanted in my projected lines, which were as follows, guys. Top line, Krull, Kaprizov, Marco Rossi, Matt Zuccarello. Your second line, which I don't like, but it is what it is, Marcus Johansson, Joel Eriksson, Matt Boldy. My third line, Marcus Foligno, Marat Huznadinov, Ryan Hartman. My fourth line, Jakob Blacko, who again, reminder, was that 1-for-1 trade with Vinny Lettieri during the draft. Freddie Gaudreau and Yakov Trenin. Those are the lines that I projected. Which means you don't hear Liam Ogren in there. I think it's better, as Kirsten said, for Liam to start the year down in Iowa and go there instead of sitting on the bench. That's not going to help. And the only reason I have is because Bill Guerin didn't go out and get Trennan in for nothing. He's not going to be sitting on the bench. Same with Lauko. I don't know, because Vinny was kind of in and out of the lineup. Maybe Lauko is the same way. I do find it a little bit of a disappointment if Liam doesn't make it, but that's not because of Liam. I think it's a disappointment on the organization if Liam Ogren is not on the roster out of camp, because it does. It has a lot of questions because Marcus Johansson and Freddie Gaudreau, no need to further elaborate there. Those are two players that I don't know necessarily should be on that opening night roster.
Hey, Marcus Johansson, it's a contract year. He's going to be stellar this year.
I hope so, especially if
he will be. It's a contract year. We know how this goes.
I just don't know. I just I don't know. Murat, I think, is in, and I'm excited to see him get some opportunity. I'll admit it, I don't love where I placed him with Hartman and Foligno, but maybe it'll be good. Maybe they can help him. And Bill Guerin has mentioned he wants Foligno and Hartman to play less of that physical role and be more skilled. They need to have bounce back years. Ryan Hartman in particular, right? After what you saw he was able to contribute. Reminder, Ryan Hartman is a first round selection too, right? So there is that elite skill within him. He's not just this bruiser out there. And Marcus Foligno can tap in a few goals as well, but you need to surround Murat with the right players. Those are the two guys that I'm really, really excited to check out when training camp opens September 19th. I need to see them do well. I'm excited to see what Jakob Lauko looks like and Yakov Trenin as well. Again, I just think Bill Guerin didn't go out and get them for no reason.
Yeah, I think you said it all perfectly right there.
I think we did. I think that's going to do it for this week's episode, frankly, because it was just so perfectly written. And we have nothing else to add, guys. It's still the off season. Come check out the Waggle Hole-in-One 24-hour challenge happening this Thursday at noon at Loggers Trail in Stillwater, going until Friday at noon. We will be out there from 9 to 10 a.m. on Friday, schmoozing, smiling, having a good time. There's a Bloody Mary bar, so it should be a fun, DJ. It's going all night too. Reminder, you can book a bay and hop out there and start golfing at like 2 a.m. I'm totally going to set my alarm and just go out there to check it out. I'm working the event for Loggers Trail Thursday afternoon, so I'll be out there regardless, but I'm going to have to swing back out that evening. So Kirsten, if you want to come with me, you're welcome.
All right. Noted.
Glow in the dark. You're not going to. You're going to be sleeping, aren't you?
I don't know.
We never know.
Might be down to clown.
I like that. That's going to be our hashtag for this year. Down to clown. Let us know what you think about the Kaprizov conversation, what grade you would give Bill Guerin, and how you feel about Liam Ogren and Murat Hussein-Dinov heading into this year. One more shout out for producer Fred. Seriously, thank you so much. He approached me about doing a podcast about 6 years ago, and I said, why would anybody want to listen to me? And here we are still doing the damn thing 6 years later now with Kirsten here as well. So thank you to Fred for all that he has done. I don't know if maybe he won't even listen to this anymore, which is just tear.
It's getting depressing now on your end, Jessi.
It's because it's raining outside. I'm going all like emo girl with it today. I'm gonna clean a lot today. It's gonna be great. But it's fine. And shout out to all of you guys. We love you. Shout out to Talk North, SotaStick, Royal Credit Union, Greenbelt, Livia, and Jim Beam. Y'all the best. Come see us Friday. If not, we will have more content, more events as the hockey season gets closer and closer.